you ever heard of that Eureka story where the guy got so excited that he ran around naked in the streets? Well, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do something that he couldn't do. I'm going to make a video and tell you about what I just discovered. It's like there are just no words to describe this. Now, somebody once asked me, what do you do? I said, I think. So she was like, yeah, that's what I do too. So I've been thinking for a lot of years, and I've actually been very lucky that I've been brought up with Jewish mysticism. I've written over 40 books, and I basically have had a lot of resources. So, you can only think as good as basically it's like technology is built on technology. You can only think as good as the information you already have. Now, when we're thinking today, we don't only get to think, particularly in Jewish mysticism, with Jewish mysticism, we get to think with science and quantum physics that amazingly has corroborated Jewish mysticism for thousands of years. People have been trying to understand, who are we? What are we? What's going on? And the Kabbalah, which is the deepest wisdom, is called the wisdom of truth, predicted that in approximately the year 1840, God would open the floodgates of wisdom of above, the spiritual wisdom, Chassidus, the wisdom of below, which is the scientific wisdom, and they would converge. And if you know Chassidus and you know a little bit about science, you see in every single field, everything that's being discovered has already been written in mysticism. And they're saying the same thing. In fact, I heard from a physicist, Dr. David Imbo, associate professor or adjunct professor of physics in University of Chicago, Harvard PhD, heads a team of 1,000 theoretical physicists, top people in the world. And they've been studying for 40 years. 40 years they've been studying mathematics, physics, religion, and philosophy, because so much of quantum physics basically is spiritual. It's mystical, it's godly, it's miraculous. And I was in the crowd when somebody asked him, you've been studying this for 40 years, these are the smartest people in the world, which religion is closest to which religion is closest to quantum physics? And he said, Chabad Hasidus. And so basically, what I want to share with you now is an amazing concept, because now we can look not only with the lens of Hasidus, not only with the lens of common sense, what our limited minds, but also we can corroborate that with quantum physics. And it's extraordinary. And really, it's very, very, very simple, but very transformative, what I'm going to share with you now. And that is that there are two dimensions in reality. There's the finite and the infinite. There's the limited and there's the unlimited. And the difference between these are absolute. There's no comparison. The smartest person in the world, the smartest supercomputer in the world, relative to infinity is like zero. We know this with numbers. You could have 1 trillion, 100 trillion. Relative to infinity is zero. Zero and infinity, or one in trillion, that one is no closer to infinity than the trillion. So trillion is only a lot relative to one. In fact, this is Einstein's theory of relativity, that we live in a world where everything's relative to each other. So fast is relative to slow. And even experiences, when they asked Einstein to explain the theory of relativity for the layperson, he said, when you're having an engaging conversation, an hour feels like a minute. If you're sitting on a hot stove, a minute feels like an hour. So even the experiences that we have are relative to the experience, to the pain or the pleasure that we're having from that experience. But in absolute truth, the level of God, because God is the only one that is truly unlimited. Everything else, even if it's very great, I'm not going to go into some of the deeper Kabbalistic ideas, even if it's kind of a level of infinity, but still it's the limited level of infinity. Anything that has a definition, say it's wisdom. You could even say infinite wisdom, but it's not emotions. It's not water. It's not a frog. So anything that has a definition is already not true infinity. True infinity has no definition. It cannot be defined. That is the nature of God himself. In fact, God himself is not even infinite. God himself is just God. He happens to be unlimited, and therefore he is also with the capacity of true infinity, which means anything. Now, why that's important is because the way our mind thinks is, this guy who stopped me once in the middle of the street, 2 a.m. in Crown Heights, eclectic rabbi, and he's like, you want to know what the mind is? And I thought I was a little clever. I said, yeah, tell me what the mind is. He says, the Rebbe says the mind is its own perception of itself. I was like, wow. that's deep. In other words, everything your mind can perceive, it's built, as both Einstein and the Baal Shem Tov say, we think within a box, a 6th dimension, a time, space, spatial. Like if I even said, give me a memory, it has the texture of time and space. It has the texture of the, north, east, south, west, up, down. So in other words, everything that we think, even the greatest AI, supercomputer, all that stuff, it's all limited because it isn't unlimited. But the unlimited made the limited. Everything that exists is contained within the unlimited. And the unlimited is not limited by his limitation. The limited sees, wow, I'm limited. Beyond limitation, that's amazing. But he can't see what is unlimited. He can just know about it. But the unlimited has all realities at the same time. Everything past, everything present, everything future, it's all there simultaneously. And it's also nothing compared to it, because everything, infinite amounts of data, is nothing compared to true infinity that holds infinity itself. So even though it's a vast amount, it's still zero compared to the unlimited. And I'm just going to conclude with the final point of this is that there isn't a moment that the unlimited isn't with you. There isn't a moment that truly you can't tap in with the grace of God, because it's all his grace, that the unlimited can come to the limited and make the limited unlimited. Thank you for watching.